There are voices, and then there is one voice. Through the entire history of recorded music, through Ella Fitzgerald and Aretha Franklin and Celine Dion and Mariah Carey and every artist who has ever made a room go completely, absolutely still with the power of what they could do with their throat and their breath in the air, there is one voice that sits apart. Whitney Elizabeth Houston. She did not just sing, she transformed. She took a melody and inhabited it so completely that the song became hers, permanently and irrevocably, regardless of who had written it or recorded it first. Dolly Parton wrote "I Will Always Love You," but when you hear those words, you hear Whitney. That is what it means to own a song. That is what it means to be the greatest. 6 Grammy Awards, 16 Billboard Music Awards, 22 American Music Awards, 2 Emmy Awards, 600 million records sold across her career, the best-selling movie soundtrack in the history of recorded music. A voice that Mariah Carey said was the standard, that Celine Dion described as a gift from God, that Beyoncé called the reason I became a singer. She grew up in the church. She was discovered at 19 in a nightclub. She was the most celebrated new artist of 1985. By 30, she was the most famous female singer in the world. And on February 11, 2012, the day before the Grammy Awards, she was found face down in a hotel bathtub. She was 48 years old. What happened between the church in Newark and the hotel in Beverly Hills is the full story. It is a story about music that was almost supernatural in its beauty, about love that was also destruction, about addiction that took something irreplaceable from the world and never gave it back. And it is a story that deserves to be told with the care and the gravity that her voice deserved. This is the full story of Whitney Houston. The marriage to Bobby Brown deteriorated over a period of years in ways that were private and then public and then impossible to look away from. There was drug use, both of them together, in the pattern that Whitney described to Oprah. We were partners. Cocaine, marijuana, eventually crack. The substances that had been recreational became habitual, became compulsory, became the organizing principle of daily life. There was, according to Whitney's own statements and legal records, physical violence. A 2003 incident resulted in Bobby Brown's arrest for battery after Whitney was injured. He was sentenced to 60 days in jail for violating probation. Her voice, that extraordinary, unprecedented instrument, began to show the damage. The high notes that had come without effort in 1987 and 1992 became increasingly unreliable. Concert performances that should have been triumphs became painful public evidence of what was being lost. Reviews that once contained only superlatives began to contain concern. The music industry watched. Her label watched. Her manager watched. Her family watched. And the machinery of her career continued because there was still enough of the voice left to generate product and revenue, even as the woman producing it was in visible crisis. She sought rehabilitation twice during the marriage. She left both times before completing treatment. In 2005, Bravo aired Being Bobby Brown, a reality television series that was intended, it seems, to rehabilitate Bobby Brown's image. What it actually documented was Whitney Houston's decline in devastating real-time detail. She appeared jittery, unfocused, a fraction of the woman she had been. The contrast between who she had been and who she appeared to be in those episodes was almost unbearable to watch. In September 2006, she filed for divorce from Bobby Brown. The divorce was finalized in April 2007. After 14 years, the marriage was over. And Whitney Houston, drug-dependent, her voice damaged, her career in the longest pause of her professional life, was, at 43, starting over. In September 2009, Whitney Houston sat across from Oprah Winfrey. She had just released I Look to You, her first studio album in 7 years, her first since the divorce, her first since what she described as a period of genuine recovery and renewed clarity. She was 53 days clean. She was, by all appearances, healthier than she had been in years. And she told Oprah everything. She talked about the drugs, not in vague terms, specifically, directly, without the protective language that celebrities usually deploy in these conversations. Cocaine, crack cocaine, marijuana. She described the progression, the partnership with Bobby, the way each substance led to the next. She described the marriage with the same directness, the violence, the control, the way love and damage had been so entangled in that relationship that she had lost the ability to separate them. She said, "He was my drug. I didn't do anything without him. I wasn't getting high by myself. It was me and him together. And then I was so weak to him. I was so weak to the love." The interview was watched by tens of millions of people. It was one of the most significant celebrity interviews of the decade. And the Whitney who sat with Oprah, clear-eyed, articulate, honest, present, made the world believe that the story was not over, that the voice was not gone, that the comeback was real. I Look to You debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, her first #1 album in 20 years. The fans who had been waiting for her came back. But sobriety is not a switch, and the pressures of a comeback, the touring, the expectations, the gap between who she had been and who she could now be, proved more than the recovery could hold. The Nothing But Love World Tour of 2010 and 2011 was the first global tour she had undertaken in years. It was supposed to be the triumphant return. It was not entirely that. Concert reviews from the Australian and New Zealand leg of the tour in early 2010 were alarming. Critics who had spent careers admiring her wrote carefully worded assessments of a voice that could no longer consistently reach the heights that had once achieved without effort. Fans were divided, some describing emotional, powerful shows, others describing visible struggle, early endings, notes that did not come. She was 46 years old. A voice has a physical instrument behind it, lungs, vocal cords, a body, and her body had been through 15 years of damage. She still had something remarkable left, the lower register, the emotional intelligence, the ability to phrase a lyric in ways that no technical training could teach. That came from the church in Newark and from her mother and from something in her that was entirely her own. In 2011, she began filming Sparkle, a movie musical based on the 1976 film about a girl group in Detroit. It would be her final film. She plays the mother of the lead character. The footage that survived shows a woman who was still capable of transcendent moments, and also a woman whose health was not what it appeared. By early 2012, there were reports from people around her that she had been using cocaine again, that the sobriety that had been so carefully presented in 2009 had not held, that she was struggling again in ways that were being kept private from the public. On February 9, 2012, 2 days before she died, she attended a pre-Grammy party at Hollywood's True nightclub. She sang spontaneously, joining singer Kelly Price on stage to perform Yes, Jesus Loves Me. It was informal, unannounced, brief. It was the last time Whitney Houston performed in public. She had come to Los Angeles for Grammy Week. She was staying at the Beverly Hilton Hotel, the same hotel where Clive Davis held his legendary annual pre-Grammy Gala, the same hotel where she had attended so many of those evenings over the decades, the same hotel where she was celebrated and photographed, and the music industry gathered each year to affirm its own history. On February 10, 2012, the day before she died, something happened that has stayed with everyone who knew about it. Whitney Houston found her daughter, Bobby Christina, asleep in a bathtub, unconscious, unresponsive, the water dangerously close. She woke her. She pulled her out. She saved her daughter's life. As her godmother, Brandy Boyd, described it afterwards, "If my godmother had not walked in that bathroom the very second she did, Chrissy would have died." Then Whitney went back to her own suite. The next day, February 11th, 2012, a Saturday afternoon, the day of the pre-Grammy Gala that she was scheduled to attend, her personal assistant, Mary Jones, left Whitney's suite briefly to find a dress for her to wear that evening. She returned to find the bathtub running. She entered the bathroom. She found Whitney Houston face down in the bathtub, unresponsive. She and a security guard pulled her out. They called for help. The Beverly Hills Fire Department arrived at 3:30 in the afternoon. They performed CPR for 20 minutes. At 3:55 p.m. on February 11th, 2012, Whitney Elizabeth Houston was pronounced dead. She was 48 years old. The coroner's report, released in April 2012, determined the official cause of death to be accidental drowning. Contributing factors: atherosclerotic heart disease and cocaine use. Toxicology screens also found marijuana, Xanax, Flexeril, and Benadryl in her system. A spoon with a white crystal-like substance was found in the suite. Downstairs, at the Beverly Hilton Hotel, in the same building where Whitney Houston's body lay in the bathtub until 1:35 in the morning, Clive Davis hosted his pre-Grammy Gala. He addressed the room at the start of the evening. He shared a tribute. He was visibly devastated. The party continued because there was no script for what to do when the music industry loses its greatest voice in the hours before its most important night. The next day, the 54th Grammy Awards took place as scheduled. Jennifer Hudson performed a tribute. The audience stood. Many of them wept. And Whitney Houston's seat, the one that had been prepared for her, was empty. Bobby Christina Brown was 18 years old when her mother died. She was the child Whitney had saved from that bathtub the day before. She was the one thing Whitney had said in interview after interview was the center of her life, the reason she kept going, the most important thing she had ever done. She was hospitalized on the night of February 11th for anxiety and distress. She was released. She attended her mother's funeral at New Hope Baptist Church in Newark, the church where it had all begun, and stood at the graveside and said goodbye. The years that followed were difficult in ways that were both visible